I've been preserving tomatoes this way for 10 years and don't have to spend money on groceries anymore. Hello, nice to see you again on Clever Tricks channel. Did you know that if not preserved properly, tomatoes can easily get moldy, rot, and lose their flavor after just a few days? What a waste, right? But don't worry, today I'm going to share with you an extremely simple but surprisingly effective way to keep tomatoes fresh all year round. After more than 10 years of experimenting with many preservation methods, I finally found a way that doesn't require preservatives or fancy equipment. With just a few familiar ingredients and a little care, you'll have delicious tomatoes to use in any dish. Especially methods 3, 5, 6 are very convenient for every family. Let's get started. I believe that after seeing this recipe, you'll want to make it right away. I have created subtitles in multiple languages. Please select your preferred language. Comment below and let me know which country you are watching from. It's amazing that we can connect from all around the world. First, wash the tomatoes before storing. Dissolve baking soda in a bowl of water to create a mild cleaning solution. The tomatoes before storing. Soak the tomatoes for 1 to 2 minutes. Baking soda helps remove dirt, wax, sand, and some pesticide residue on the skin. Gently rub the surface of the tomatoes with your hands. Do not rub hard because the tomato skin is thin and easily scratched. Rinse under clean water 1 to 2 times to remove all the baking soda. It's such a joy that we're connecting from all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for your support. Dry or drain before storing or processing. Method 1. Preserving tomatoes in water. This is a little-known method but quite effective, especially for unripe tomatoes or tomatoes that are just ripe for use in the next few days. Choose fresh fruit that is not bruised, cracked, or rotten. Unripe or just ripe tomatoes are ideal. Do not use soft, spoiled tomatoes to soak in water, as this will cause the water to spoil quickly. Prepare clean water. The water should be at room temperature or slightly cool, not too cold to avoid thermal shock. Put the tomatoes in a large bowl or glass jar. Fill with water completely. Make sure there is no air left on the fruit. You can shake it gently to remove air bubbles. Place the bowl of tomatoes in a cool place, away from direct sunlight. If you leave it for more than 1 to 2 days, you should change the water once to avoid bacteria and mold. Tomato storage time, 1 to 2 weeks. This is a convenient method when you want to use the tomatoes in the next few days, not suitable for long-term storage, more than 2 weeks. I find the method of soaking tomatoes in water very convenient, especially when you buy green or medium-ripe tomatoes, want to keep them fresh for a few days to eat raw or cook. This method is extremely simple, does not require much effort, and the tomatoes still retain their natural softness and juiciness. Remember to change the water regularly so the fruit does not spoil. Method 2. Preservation with plastic wrap. This is one of the simple but very effective ways to keep tomatoes fresh for a long time, especially ripe tomatoes. I have washed the tomatoes to remove dirt. Use absorbent paper or a soft towel to dry the tomatoes completely. Avoid leaving water on the fruit, because wrapping the film will create a humid environment that is prone to mold. Cut a piece of plastic wrap large enough to wrap around the fruit. Wrap the fruit tightly, especially the stem. to limit the release of ethylene gas too quickly, helping the tomatoes ripen more slowly and evenly. Do not wrap too tightly, just enough to hug the fruit to avoid bruising. The plastic wrap helps limit the escape of gas, reduce water loss, and keep the fruit fresh longer. Place the wrapped tomatoes on a ventilated tray or basket. Avoid stacking too many layers to avoid bruising the fruit or making it difficult to breathe. Place the wrapped tomatoes on a ventilated tray or basket. Avoid stacking too many layers to avoid bruising the fruit or making it difficult to breathe. Check daily, remove soft, rotten, or moldy fruit. Tomato storage time is 1 to 2 weeks. If you want tomatoes to ripen more evenly, place them near a ripe banana. Ethylene gas from bananas helps speed up the ripening process. I find the method of wrapping each fruit with plastic wrap really convenient. The tomatoes still retain their freshness, softness, and limit wilting or wrinkling. This method is extremely simple, does not require much effort, and is very suitable when you buy a few tomatoes or want to store them for a few days before eating. Remember to store them in a cool place and check them daily. Method 3. Preserving tomatoes with olive oil. This is a method used by many people for cooking because tomatoes soaked in oil will be fragrant and last longer. Cut the tomatoes into slices, bite-sized pieces, or cut into 4 parts depending on the purpose of use. Use kitchen paper to reduce the tomato water. Do not let the tomatoes have too much water. The oil will be diluted and easily spoiled. Prepare a glass jar. The glass jar must be clean and completely dry. You can blanch it in boiling water for 1 to 2 minutes and then let it dry, which helps kill bacteria and prolongs the storage time. Arrange the tomatoes in the jar. Do not pack them too tightly so that the oil can penetrate evenly around the tomato pieces. Pour olive oil until the tomatoes are completely covered. Gently shake the jar to spread the oil evenly and remove air bubbles. Close the lid tightly. Place the jar in the refrigerator. Storage time: 1 to 2 weeks in the refrigerator. The tomatoes will be softer, absorb the olive oil flavor. Very suitable for making sauces, stir-frying, or mixing salads. Each time you use it, always use a clean spoon to avoid bacteria from entering. I find the trick of preserving tomatoes with olive oil really effective. The tomatoes stay plump, do not wrinkle, and the olive oil after preservation is also more fragrant. Very delicious for cooking. A simple method but worth trying. Method 4. First, put the tomatoes in a bowl of clean water. Wash the tomatoes. Then remove to a tray to drain. Cut off the stem of the tomato. Cut the tomatoes into pieces. And put in an airtight zip bag. Close the bag, leaving a small slit for the straw. Suck all the air out. Close the bag. You have created a vacuum. Ready to freeze? Tomatoes will keep for months. You can also freeze whole tomatoes. Cool, right? If you like it, you can save it and try it. Method 5. Prepare enough tomatoes. Wash the tomatoes under running water. I would be happy if you write in the comments which country you are watching me from. Prick the tomatoes with a needle. I use a clean, dry glass jar. Put the tomatoes in the jar. Pour boiling water over the tomatoes. Soak for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, pour out the water. We do not need this water. Boil clean water. Pour boiling water in. Close the jar tightly. The jar lid must be tightly closed. Do not let any air in. Then let it cool for 20 to 24 hours. We can store it in a cool place for 1 year. The storage conditions must be correct. We have cool cellars under, above ground most of the houses. We keep them there. If you do not follow these rules, the product may be damaged. Method 6. First, wash the tomatoes. Wash the tomatoes directly under the tap. Clean the core of the tomatoes and cut them into slices. Write to me in the comments which country you are watching me from. It's great to know that we are watching together around the world. Slice the tomatoes. Put the tomatoes in a large bowl. Cut an onion. Put it on a plate. Chop 4 cloves of garlic. Put it in a small bowl. Chop the parsley. It's such a joy that we're connecting from all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for your support. Put it on a plate. Need to add bay leaves and peppercorns, so I have enough ingredients. I use clean, dry glass jars for the next step. Put a bay leaf in each jar. Add a few peppercorns. Put the garlic in. Put the onions in. Add the parsley. Add the tomatoes. Now I add the onions, parsley. Add the tomatoes again. Add the onions. And finally, I add the pepper. I add half a teaspoon of salt to each jar. Add a tablespoon of 5% vinegar to each jar. Botulism bacteria does not grow in an acidic environment. Fill the jars with water. Wipe the mouths of the jars clean. Cover the jars with clean lids. Need a deeper pot? Put a towel at the bottom of the pot and arrange the jars inside. Fill the pot with water up to the mouth of the jar. Put the pot on the stove. Cover it, and from the time the water boils, I will sterilize for 35 minutes. We do the sterilization at 80 degrees Celsius. After 35 minutes, I remove the pot from the stove. When the jars have cooled, the middle of the lid should be concave. Store the jars in a dark place until use. The video ends here. If you have any comments, please leave a comment below. If you find the video interesting, please like it. Don't forget to share it with your family and friends. Remember to subscribe to the channel to support. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.